It's getting hot in here. We're showing you new therapies that could drastically improve your sex life. I'd like to welcome Dr. Irwin Goldstein to Prime Time.
It's so hot.
I'm so hot. I'm already flustered. I can't even talk. Welcome.
Taylor, thank you so much for doing this. Anything to support our field, sexual medicine, and the education with it. It's just another form of medicine.
Yes.
It just happens to focus on the sexual problems that men and women have.
And I think it's very important, especially if men and women are going to have a healthy relationship. I think it's so important for healthy marriages, and I don't know.
You're taking the words from my mouth. It's awesome.
Well, it's true. I really believe it. So tell us where you're at. What is the latest research on this, and what your business is all about?
Okay, so San Diego Sexual Medicine is here in San Diego. We have a 6,000 square foot space that deals with and focuses on the field of sexual medicine, which is a part of medicine that studies the sexual problems that men and women have, and often couples have together. We have the latest and greatest of all the diagnostic evaluations and then therapies that people need. We get people flying from all over the world here. I was on the phone today with people.
So you're world-renowned.
We were on the phone today with people from Hong Kong and all parts of the United States, as well as multiple parts in California.
Well, it's such an important part of a relationship and to being human, it really is. But so let's talk about, I'm curious, what is the biggest, I don't know, I don't want to call it
Can't use
complaint.
the word biggest. You'll have to be careful here.
What is the biggest, well, he just said it. What is the biggest challenge couples have that come to your
So the biggest challenge, it's a big problem.
Wait, let me start over. Okay. What are the biggest hurdles that couples have when they approach you or contact you?
So the biggest hurdle is, I think, there are for women in particular, there's limited drugs that are approved by our government to help women who have a sexual problem. Like for men, there's a series of drugs.
There's like all kinds of
stuff.
stuff.
So if a man has a problem in performance, his erections are off, he can actually go to a doctor and say, gee, I have this problem, there are drugs available for me, maybe that's for me. But for women, you may have a disparate interest problem, like your husband's really interested and you've had your children and it's busy and you're just not interested in sex, or it hurts when you have sex, or gee, you'd love to have an orgasm in bed together, but you
your
can't.
Husband can't do that for you.
He maybe come
and
too
now
early,
you're
or maybe he has
and you're
other
like, it's not even worth taking my clothes off anymore.
So
that kind of
the
stuff.
problem is, where do you go? I mean, do you go to your primary care doctor, your family doctor? Do you go to your nurse practitioner? Do you go to your gynecologist? Go to your urologist? The fact is, most people, you have 7 minutes with your doctor, and this is just not that kind of a subject. So we have dedicated this facility to that area. The average visit's like 3 hours. We have within our facility a sex therapist to deal with the sort of mental issues. We have a physical therapist.
Some people in a relationship are just hung up, or they just don't know. They don't get it. They're not educated.
So we don't know what their problem is. It's a journey to figure it out. So we have a sex therapist there. Everybody goes to the sex therapist, a musculoskeletal expert, a physical therapist.
Wow, because sometimes it's a physiological thing.
Well, sometimes it's muscular. It's pain that happens because you can't get in a certain position, or your muscles are too tight around your vagina, or urination problems are an issue, or again, it could be hormonal, it could be vascular, it could be neurologic. So we sort of have
there's
three
so
stations.
many complications that
Well,
can
sex
happen.
is complicated, and you need to sort of figure out what the diagnoses are. I mean, it's really important, you say, okay, I have a problem with libido, but what is the cause for that? We spend hours trying to figure that out. Once we have the diagnosis, the therapy really follows. We have a very high success rate with all of the sexual problems.
How often do you hear women just saying, I just don't have the desire for him? And I was at a women's group, I've been in plenty of women's group, and I would hear that women complain all the time. Like, oh, my husband wants sex again. They're complaining. He wants to do much. And I'm thinking, ladies, be thankful your husband desires you. You know what I mean?
No, that's an excellent point.
Have it be symbiotic. And I was thinking, if they don't change their attitude, if something doesn't change, how does that relationship thrive?
Yeah, so, well, there's so many questions in this question, but let me just get
I'm complicated, right?
Let me get to the beginning of the question is, so men have erection problems, and we've talked about that. Actually, the leading problem that men have is early ejaculation. Flipping to women, The leading problem that the women have is low desire. And it's a huge problem. Relationships dissolve all the time. Men seek other affairs. Men...
Because they need to...
Well, they have their own issues, and they're humans. And so it would really be great if women have this problem to sort of say, okay, I need to see someone for this.
Because women are really proactive about solving problems. Typically, as a whole, I know this is a blanket statement, but if they are sick and they've had this recurring headache, believe me, they'll go in and get a doctor. They'll go to the doctors right away, right?
They will.
Men probably will deal with it longer. Women will seek help. So why wouldn't they seek help? But
they can read when
and this is your book.
Sex isn't good. So it's a lot about, we interviewed women with sexual problems, including those who have low interest. And you can read about the psychological evaluation that happens and what medicines are available, what diagnostic tests would happen. So that's out there and they could read about it. It's on Amazon and it's not very expensive.
Great.
So the thing is, this is the year 2013. It's the year of the woman.
Yay! It's about
because
time.
we finally have drugs coming through our government that will allow...
Tell us about that. What's the future?
Okay, so in February, we have a drug that was officially approved for women who have pain during sexual activity. So that condition is called dyspareunia, which means pain during sexual activity. And we now have a drug, it's a hormonal drug, but it's not, it's called Asfina, and it helps the vagina get more healthy so sex can be less painful.
That's good.
The big one, which is pink in color, obviously, is called flibanserin.
Of course it is.
And that comes out in September.
And what does that do?
That's for low interest. So, person who, was that your girl's thing?
There are a lot of women like that.
Yeah, it's like over half of women have this.
Complaining. I'm like, ladies, and some of these ladies, I'm like, hello.
Yeah,
you could probably stand to exercise a little bit more, and your husband desires you.
Well,
figure
the
out
birth
how
control
to
pill,
make that an equal thing.
The birth control pill causes low interest in millions of women.
Does it? I didn't know that.
Yeah, women treated for endometriosis, women treated for polycystic ovary syndrome, women in menopause, women in perimenopause,
so it's a
women after
thing.
childbirth.
So it could be a hormonal
thing. No, it's a multifaceted thing. It's a partner thing.
Yeah.
It's a
and especially for those women with lots of kids and babies, and they're just tired.
They don't come from Sweden like you do.
Hey.
Sweden has a high rate of sexual
we were talking about that. I was asking him during the break if desire or high libido is genetic, and you said it was.
Yeah,
so let's talk about that.
So an entity that we've studied a lot is premature ejaculation. So Asians and Middle Eastern men have a very high rate of that. It's a genetic thing and it's a cultural thing.
Okay, wait, let me remember Asian. What else?
Low sexual interest is about chemical balance in the brain.
Yeah.
So depending on your genes and your proteins that you
What
make.
nationalism has?
Swedes, only Swedes.
No.
No,
So tell us about the Swedes.
No, I'm only kidding. So actually, I did a research study called Sex in Sweden, which did an epidemiologic study on sexual activity in Sweden. And so there are women who have sexual problems, but in general, they do quite well. Just to remind you.
So you were talking about low interest with women. Right. I mean, men, when they hit, the male menopause,
around 50.
When their testosterone levels drop, they can also
have low interest.
They do. So what do you do?
We give them testosterone,
and that
as
helps
we
a lot.
give women testosterone.
And then sometimes doctors overdose when they don't see an expert like you, and then the guy's crazy wanting to, mark every tree and they down. So I mean, it's really important to be
monitored,
diagnosed correctly.
Right.
To see an expert. And I don't think it's a general practitioner type of situation.
It certainly could be. I mean, if the general practitioner is interested and passionate about it and does a good job, there's no problem. But for those people who aren't getting the care that they wish, we do have this tertiary center where you'll see the sex therapist, the physical therapist, and myself, and we'll do a fabulous job of engaging the partner and all that.
And you have all the latest research, and you wrote countless books, obviously.
Well, I'm editor-in-chief of this thing. So this comes out every month. It's called the Journal of Sexual Medicine, and it's the science and evidence behind the field of sexual medicine.
Okay.
So that's very important. So I mean, it's not like a sleaze thing where we're going to give you
a part of life.
vitamins and herbs. This is a real medical field.
I love it. And let's throw up your website one more time so people know how to get a hold of you. There it is. San Diego
So
Sexual
the other
Medicine.
thing is we have a huge clinical trial practice. So all the drugs that are coming out, we're one day in clinical trials. And we do a lot of the clinical trials at the facility.
So will you come back to talk about all that?
We can talk about all that. But if anyone has a sexual problem and would rather be in a clinical trial, and they actually get paid for the clinical trial, they just call our number. So 619-265-8865.
Perfect. And we'll see you back here on Primetime.
Oh, I'd love to come back.
With the latest. All about
In
the sexual
medicine. Thank you for doing this. You're fabulous.
Thank you so much. This has been
You're
fun.
so easy to do this with.
Wait a minute.
That's
That
good.
is downright.
Oh, that's good.